A very warm welcome to the first in our video series on the core theme, Knowledge and the Knower. I'm Mr. Wong, and I will be taking you through what is a new, exciting and central part of the Theory of Knowledge course. In the development of the TOK course, the new core theme was a result of a move to make the TOK course feel more approachable, engaging and relevant to 16-year-old students like yourselves. Knowledge and the Knower provides, quoting from the TOK subject guide, opportunities for students to reflect on what shapes their perspectives as a knower, where their values come from, and how they make sense of and navigate the world around them. This theme highlights the expectation that you, as a knower, should take center stage in many of the explorations of knowledge into which you enter. Within the overall TOK course structure, the core theme has a central role and significant part in your thinking about knowledge during the course. The idea is that in all situations you act as both a member of some community of knowers, but also as an individual who accepts knowledge from that group but also contributes to it. Throughout the course, when you are thinking about the role of technology, language and politics, for example in the optional themes, or the knowledge held by more formal communities of mathematicians, historians and artists as represented in areas of knowledge, you should be thinking about what the role of the individual in that community is. You should also think about what your role as a knower in these contexts. Here we are also introduced to the four elements of the knowledge framework: scope, perspectives, methods and tools, and ethics. The knowledge framework is a tool for analysis and comparison between different areas of knowledge. The purpose of the knowledge framework is to help you think across different themes and areas of knowledge. The subject guide offers a series of knowledge questions relating to each element in all of the main components of the course, and you will be unpacking some of these questions as you go through the course. Using the elements of the framework will help guide your thinking and provide structure to your exploration of TOK, while helping you maintain a clear focus on genuine knowledge issues. We turn now to the first of the elements in the knowledge framework, scope. By scope of knowledge, we mean the extent of our knowledge and the limits to it. As knowers, we have acquired knowledge over many years, and the totality of our body of knowledge is what we mean by the scope of our knowledge. The extent and limit of our knowledge develops over time, and is determined by various cognitive factors, as well as factors such as our upbringing and our educational, social, and cultural context. For example, your choice of your IB Diploma program subjects will have already shaped the scope and extent of your knowledge. The extent of our knowledge can be rich and diverse, and as a starting point, we can reflect and consider what actually we might know, as well as consider what we don't know, the scope of our ignorance. As an individual, we all hold knowledge, and hopefully you are gaining more and more knowledge each day. Some of the knowledge that we develop is knowledge of ourselves, knowledge that does not seem tied to anyone but us and our own experiences. Your own tastes and likes, for instance, or internal mental states or feelings. For example, when you say you know you are tired right now. This can also include knowledge of your own personal beliefs and opinions on issues and events. There's knowledge which is deeply individual, both in the sense that they are about you, but also that their justification depends on an appeal to facts that only you have access to. This personal or individual knowledge might also include factual knowledge about the world. I know that Manila is the capital of the Philippines, or knowledge how to do something. I know how to juggle. Our individual knowledge and perspectives, though, are often defined by being related to a community of knowers. Individuals generally are part of a larger group, and we as knowers are all members of knowledge communities, consisting of groups of people with a common interest, generally in a specific field of knowledge or activity. Some knowledge communities are formal organizations, for example, the Chinese Chemical Society or British Institute for Applied Economics. Others are more informal, such as music clubs, sport and even gaming groups. They might be linked through knowing how to do certain things. Knowledge communities are essential for the development or construction of new knowledge. Knowledge is deeply embedded and networked, meaning that the methods we use to construct knowledge, the claims that we arrive at, and the perspectives we take as individuals are connected and take their meaning from the wider community. Communities shape what we know and think. Knowledge communities are essential for the development or construction of new knowledge. It is largely within knowledge communities that knowledge is shared and exchanged. This is particularly true of specialized knowledge, such as that found in the natural sciences. But it is also true for all accessible human knowledge. Knowledge communities act to preserve, challenge, communicate, and grow knowledge through the actions of their members. Often they have specialist language, their own sets of rules which may be written or unwritten, and certain membership criteria. Consider being a member of a religious community. Being a Hindu, for example, means among other things that you understand certain concepts and accept certain types of knowledge as true. Being part of this community means that you know how to participate in certain rituals, traditions, and activities. To be a full member of a community also requires an individual to take part in learning how to do these sorts of things. So far, we have drawn a distinction in our knowledge between what we know as individuals and what is known by a community. Another helpful way we can look at the knowledge we have would be to classify knowledge statements into three kinds: experiential knowledge, skills, and knowledge claims. These are deeply interconnected and interdependent, but each has features of their own that are worth considering. The first of these, experiential knowledge, depends on living in the world, having sensations and emotions, learning language and thinking. It also involves our capacity to draw from past experiences to shape how we live new experiences. From the time we were born, and arguably even before we are born, much of what we learn is gained through personal experience as we explore our environment. Basic knowledge such as what is food and what is not, who our caregivers are, and how we can manipulate objects with our hands are all learned through our experiences of the world. As we continue to grow and develop, the component of a direct experience includes our own encounters with the natural world, with people, and with all the artifacts and social systems around us that people have made. It is our raw and immediate contact with the things that happen in our lives. It requires our active involvement in doing. Other people's descriptions, no matter how good they are not the same as actually singing, cycling, working as part of a team, grieving over loss, taking care of a sibling, organizing an event, or feeling love for another person. Being told about something does give us knowledge, but living it ourselves gives us a different kind of knowledge. Personal experience especially contributes to your growing personal knowledge if accompanied by reflection. Noticing what you are experiencing and turning it over in your mind adds to the benefit you gain. Reflection involves not simply having experiences, but asking yourself what they mean to you and what you can learn from them. It involves being sufficiently aware that you are not simply receiving impressions, but instead guiding your own interpretations and responses. As we process our experience, perhaps silently talking with ourselves or mulling over the meaning of something we have just noticed, we may then use it to form our statements of I know, our personal knowledge put into words. A second type of knowledge includes the knowledge on how to do something, what we call procedural knowledge. Someone may know how to sing, or play the guitar or ride a bicycle. You also know how to solve certain mathematical problems, or you may know how to use a microscope. Procedural knowledge also requires practice and hands-on experience. In considering each of the subject areas you study, every area has a body of knowledge that you will be expected to know in order to do well in your exams or to be part of that area's knowledge community. However, there are a lot of other skills and abilities that you'll need to know in order to genuinely excel. For example, knowing the net worth of a company might be important in a business management case study, but you will also have to be able to apply that knowledge to show top-level skills in an assessment. Knowing how to do something and being skilled at it are also quite different. You might know how to play basketball and may be able to explain some of the rules. You might even know enough of the rules and enact a few basic drills or play casually with a group of friends. However, that does not mean you might be skilled enough to play in a genuine competitive match. With each community of knowers, there are specific skills which might be required to be considered a part of that community. The last kind of knowledge concerns with statements we have accepted. Knowledge claims are what we know, or rather what we say or assert we know. What we say we know includes assertions of many different kinds. Many of these are factual in nature, and this knowledge is considered true in that it corresponds to some fact in the world. This kind of knowledge is often called propositional knowledge, because claiming to know something is to propose that something is true or real. This form of knowledge can usually be translated as I know that. followed by a claim. Much of what we say we know can also extend beyond factual information into our statements of values and other declarations of beliefs. Let us look a bit further at some ways we can group and categorize what we claim to know. First of all are statements of personal observation, assertions of what we know through our senses, what we see and hear, for instance. For example, I know I'm wearing a red shirt and holding a cup of hot coffee. Observation statements can be checked. You can look again to see the color of your shirt or ask someone else to confirm. Yes, it's red. It's a fact. We also have statements of values or value judgment, such as I know that laksa is delicious, or I know that my girlfriend is very, very beautiful. Whether it's virtuous or evil, important or trivial, hot or cold, interesting or boring is a matter of the values of the onlookers. The scale is qualitative and subjective. It's hot today is a value judgment. Someone in Iceland is likely to have a different scale for what is hot from us living in Singapore. Even if hundreds of people agree that it is a hot day, it is still a value judgment. Value judgments are opinions that cannot be necessarily proved true or false, even though in many cases we can put forward persuasive reasons for agreeing or disagreeing. Some value judgments can move opinion to fact if the scale of judgment changes to one that is quantifiable and objective. The temperature is 42 degrees Celsius is a statement of observation of the reading on a thermometer using an established scale of measurement. These next three statements are also statements of observation, but not the personal observation of the speaker. They are shared knowledge based on observations made by others, many others, and then on the records they made and passed on. They are statements of fact. Though you can see that the three statements have different sorts of facts: scientific facts, sporting facts, historical facts. The next three statements are based on statements of observation, but are not themselves observations. They actually take general patterns established through observation and reasoning and extrapolate from them. The first two are predictions. They apply observations of the past to the future, in expectation that regular patterns observed over time will continue. The third is a general hypothetical statement. It is based on past observation and places two actions in a causal relationship. An assertion such as, I know that God created the world, is a metaphysical statement about the nature of reality beyond the material world. Claims like these can be about the nature of heaven and hell, the soul, or about God himself. These claims differ from observational claims in that they cannot be tested with sense perception and demonstrated to others. We cannot subject God to tests in a lab. We cannot use litmus paper or chemical reaction to demonstrate existence and characteristics of a supreme being. We cannot weigh the soul or calculate the movement patterns of angels. This highlights the nature of these claims. They are meta, meaning beyond the physical. This last category of statement about a right-angle triangle is a definition, which places ideas in relationship with each other using language. The 90-degree angle is the characteristic that makes the triangle a right-angle triangle. It is not a statement of observation, even though every right-angle triangle you observe will have a 90-degree angle. Clearly, what we know is expressed in a huge variety of knowledge statements from different areas of knowledge and in many areas of our lives. The public nature of a claim allows it to be questioned, tested, supported, refuted, or reformulated. It allows it to be published and archived and used by others in their own work. Examining the scope of our knowledge is important because it can help us to become increasingly self-aware as knowers. Knowledge of oneself, as Aristotle put it, is the beginning of all wisdom. And the more we know, the more aware we become of how much else there is to know. The ancient philosopher Socrates was considered the wisest man in Athens because he knew the limits of his knowledge. One of the goals of the Theory of Knowledge course is to encourage you to reflect on yourself as a knower and on the knowledge communities you belong to, so that you are aware of what you can add to the process of knowing and the responsibilities and challenges that come with gaining and constructing knowledge. Thank you for listening.